Good morning, everybody. This is Sean Copeland. Today is February the 12th, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Purpose-Driven CEO. Today on the Purpose-Driven CEO, we are going to talk about the 12 principles of kingdom leadership. Now, we have talked before about a kingdom culture, one that is driven by the king himself, where God is truly the boss and we follow the principles of Jesus Christ. And what has happened over the last, probably month for me is this has become even more intense. I've become even more acutely aware of how different this type of culture can be. I'm seeing it now. The Lord is showing me more and more examples of companies that have this type of culture. Yesterday, I just read an article. It was about KPMG and how they are trying to bring purpose into their company. And the article said that studies show that people will take a 15% pay cut to work for a company where they feel like they have a real purpose. And so what KPMG has done is they have taken accounting in general and said, okay, let's show our employees how important this line of business is. This is what accounting has contributed to history and how it's helped to solve many major global issues over the years. They've taught this to their employees, and the employees' purpose and feeling about work improved dramatically. What I am talking about is the same thing, but I am talking about a purpose that I believe is greater than just our industry or even our work. I believe that work can be eternal and sacred in nature, that we can do our jobs excellently, but also be so obedient to the calling of God and of the Holy Spirit that we are changing lives all day long, every day. I got a Facebook message from a good friend of mine, Dusty, earlier this week, and man, I had no idea the impact that this podcast, our daily devotional, are having on his life, and it just made me so happy. I'm going to move into the 12 principles, but I'm going to just share one more thing with you. There is a verse in the Bible where it talks about how people were astonished at the change of ordinary men who had spent time with Jesus. Now, these ordinary men that they were talking about were the disciples. And what happened is just by being in proximity with Jesus and learning about Him and living with Him and becoming more like Him, people were astonished at the impact of these very, very ordinary individuals. That is my goal for my life, and that is my goal for your life, is that we have a kingdom impact. So let me jump straight into the 12 principles of a kingdom-driven business, or the 12 principles of kingdom leadership. Number one is abiding. It all starts here. You cannot change or transform unless you have an abiding, remaining relationship with Jesus Christ, where you are with Him all the time. You are thinking about Him all the time. You are listening to Him all the time. In John 15, Jesus says, you can do nothing without abiding with me. And He talks about the fruit of the vine. So abiding is our first principle of kingdom leadership. The leader or the leaders have to abide with Jesus. Number two is accountability. We have to love our people enough to tell them the truth and give them honest feedback about their performance and anything that the Lord brings to our mind. When I was at the Kingdom at Work conference, one of the CEO told a story about how he had an employee named Henry, and the Lord brought to his mind that Henry was not giving his full effort in his job. So he had committed to be obedient. And so he said, Henry, I know this might be a little bit of a weird question, but are you giving your full effort at your job? And Henry looked kind of shocked for a moment and said, no, I'm not. I'm bored. This job is so easy. I can basically do it with half effort. And that ended up resulting in Henry moving into another position within the company. Number 3 is calling. What does God say about work and about our role as a leader? Work is mentioned over 800 times in the Bible. Jesus worked. Paul worked. God had the first work week when he created the earth and the solar system. The Greeks, whenever they took power, were the first people group to say that leisure was better than work. Up until then, God intended work to be fulfilling, to be enjoyable, to be a place where we could really make a difference. I've talked about the word avada on here before, which is used 3 times in the Bible, and it means work, worship, and service, each of those 3 times, and it's all in one. We didn't separate the 3. So work is very, very important to God. Our role as a leader, all authority is determined by God above. That is scriptural. So when we are called to be a leader, we are called by God. So if you are in a leadership position, there is a reason that you are there to change the lives of those people that work for you. Number 4, we have a core purpose. In a kingdom leadership or in a kingdom-driven business, we have a core purpose. Our core purpose is something that God has called us to. It's a greater purpose. Our purpose within the bank is to show God's love to our employees, clients, and communities. We think that's our greatest calling. It's not to make money. It's not to make loans. It's not to be the number 1 bank in the country or in the state. It is to show God's love. So we need a core purpose that is greater, than just making money. Core values. Every kingdom business needs a set of core values. They need to be scripturally based. They need to be chosen by looking at your best employees, and they need to be integrated all throughout the company. Whether it is through hiring, whether it is through ongoing reviews, whether it's through awards that you give. We talk about ours every month and every week. It is a very, very important part of who we are, and show you care is our foundational core value. Next, we have courage. Every kingdom leader must have courage. When the Lord called me to do a daily devotional for my team, I was petrified. I didn't want to do it. But I knew it was a calling of the Lord, and I stepped out, and we've impacted over 135,000 people now through this devotional throughout the country. So follow God's leading no matter how difficult it is. Generosity. A kingdom business, a kingdom leader must be generous. You cannot be greedy and be a kingdom leader. Radical generosity can transform your organization. Doing more than expected for your employees, clients, and community can be pretty amazing. Clearly, love is next. The next principle of kingdom leadership. Love has to be the foundation of it all. You see this all throughout the Bible. No matter what we do, if we don't do it in love, it is, as the Bible said, it's just a resounding gong. It's just noise if we're not doing it for love. This is not about church. This is not trying to force salvation or being saved on everybody. This is about loving people where they are and showing them Jesus' love, and believing that the Holy Spirit will draw them to Jesus draw them to Jesus. Next is obedience. We have to recognize that God is the boss and we are not. We have to be selfless, and we cannot be greedy leaders. So we have to teach others. We have to give away our job. We have to give away our power to help them grow, and realize that I, Sean Copeland, as the CEO, am not the boss of Region Bank. God is the boss. Relationship. We want to see our people and know our people. This is critical. You need to have regular one-on-ones with our employees where we teach them, where we sow into them, where we listen to them. The employees are leading these one-on-ones. I had a visit with an employee last week where I had completely misread this employee. I thought she came from a silver spoon, had a great education. She's very attractive young lady, dresses very nice. I thought she came from a bigger bank. None of that's true. She has been through great difficulty in her life and is going through tremendous challenges right now. I would have never known that if I hadn't sat down and listened to her and asked her to tell me her story. Transparency. We believe that financial and strategic transparency is a key principle to kingdom leadership. We believe that God is calling us to be honest and open about our activities, whether it be with money or whether it be, with what we are working on. Now, you may say, hey, we can't share everything with our employees because they might go tell our competitors. That's never happened to me. We've been doing this for 13 years, but what it does do is creates tremendous buy-in for those employees. And then finally is vulnerability. Success has never transformed anybody. Being honest and vulnerable about what we've gone through or what we are going through changes everything. Brene Brown has an entire book series on vulnerability and the importance of being vulnerable as a leader. And I think as a kingdom leader, we need to tell the truth. We don't have everything figured out. We're all struggling. I struggle with things every single day, and letting our employees know that, I think, can make a tremendous difference. So we're going to dig into these more over the next few weeks, but today I just wanted to lay out the 12 principles of kingdom leadership. If you want to bring a kingdom-driven culture into your family, into your company, into your department, into your church, into your school, into your community, I believe that these 12 principles are how you do that. So I hope this is helpful to you. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Purpose Driven CEO, and we will look forward to seeing you next week.